Let's send our 3D print files to the slicer. First, we'll need to go to Bambu Studio and download the installer. Once you locate it and open it, it will look something like this. Sometimes there'll be an introduction screen and you can create a new file. I'm going to go in here to the new file and I'm going to import a STL. It may give you this warning because the scale is a little different from Blender over to Bambu, but right now it will translate. And the first thing we're going to look at is if this is green. If it's red, it's going to tell you you'll have non-manifold edges, and those are just like holes in the model, but you can go ahead and click on repair. Ours looks fine. Let's check out the scale first. And since I said okay, our size is about 4 inches or 110, give or take, millimeters. So we're looking good here. You can go ahead and rotate or scale or do any of those other things, but the main one I use here is the move tool. You can copy and paste and it will automatically try and fit them onto the bed. Over here is where we're going to select the type of printer, and we're going to be using the X1E, and we'll be using a textured plate, so we'll just leave those as is. And then we're going to drop in and make sure advanced is turned on. The nice thing about this menu is anything that you've changed from the original will be highlighted in orange. So I'm going to work backwards and show you the originals and the new settings. The first thing I'm going to do though for this model is to select the standard size filament. And the reason I'm going with 0.20 instead of something much smaller is these don't have a heck of a lot of detail that I need to capture, and I want it to print fairly quickly. Then I'm going to go to quality, and let's hunt for the first one that I've changed, and that is ironing. Ironing is going to make the top of these, or the top surface, smooth, and that's because I've checked top surfaces. And I've chosen both rectilinear or concentric. They both do about the same thing, so I'll just leave this as rectilinear. Next I'll go up to strength, and let's scroll down and find the one that I've changed, and that's sparse infill density. It defaults to 15, but I'm going to go with 8 because we just don't need a lot of fill on the inside. These don't need to be super strong because they're just really very thin. And the sparse infill pattern that we changed to is gyroid. That's the fastest one. And that's because even though it is really strong and dense, it's a contiguous line. So in other words, it doesn't take very long for the slicer to print it. And then I'm going to go to support. I'm going to enable support on this model, but I'm also going to make sure that support critical regions only is checked on. And that's because I just have one little area that's this loop that I've added to carry these around with a carabiner. And when I zoom in close, you can see there's just a tiny bit of an overhang here. The last thing I'm going to go to is others, and I'm looking at bed adhesion, and I've chosen a brim of outer and inner, and that's going to make kind of a spread that looks like this. And what that does is just adheres it to the plate a little bit better. And that's so that we can change the speed once we get 1 or 2 layers printed. So once we have that, we're going to hit slice, and these won't take long to slice. It'll tell you how long it's going to take here and how many grams. This will be a $5 print at the studio. And by the way, here is what that brim looks like when we slice it. In here, we can always change this to a line type, and we can see different things, and we can turn different things on and off. But basically, this slider will just show us kind of what it's going to look like. And you can see there is the gyroid infill. So it's going to be really strong on the inside. We just don't need a whole heck of a lot of it. Then we'll come over to device. And once we're at the studio, we'll give you the login, but at home you can just pick your own device. We just have a bunch of 3D printers here. And that's all you need. And then you'll go to print. And here, depending on whatever printer you selected, it will show you the filaments that are already loaded. And I wanted all mine to be green, so I just clicked on that. And then you can send it. And that's the very basics of 3D prints.